She was 23 years old, a recent college graduate from Virginia, a trained lifeguard, a young woman with a new job waiting for her when she got home, and a new apartment she hadn't moved into yet. Her father had won the cruise through his employer. 7 days. Royal Caribbean. A reward for a family that had earned it. On March 21st, 1998, Amy Bradley and her family boarded the Rhapsody of the Seas in Puerto Rico, bound for Curacao. 3 days later, she was gone. On the night of March 23rd, Amy and her younger brother Brad attended a disco party on the ship's 9th floor deck. The band playing that night was called Blue Orchid. One of the band's members, a bass player named Alistair Douglas, who went by the nickname Yellow, was seen drinking and dancing with Amy that night. A ship videographer captured footage of them together on the dance floor. Douglas told investigators he left the party around 1 o'clock in the morning, that Amy was fine when he last saw her. The timeline that followed tells a different story. At 3:35 a.m., Brad's key card was electronically logged entering the family cabin. Amy followed 5 minutes later at 3:40. The two of them sat on the private balcony, talking, before Brad went to bed. His last words to her were, "I love you." Amy stayed outside, alone, with her cigarettes. Ron Bradley woke around 5:30 in the morning. He looked towards the balcony. He could see Amy's legs stretched out in the lounge chair. He assumed she was asleep. He closed his eyes. When he opened them again, she was gone. Amy had left her shoes on the balcony. She had taken her cigarettes and her lighter. Nothing else. Her family immediately reported her disappearance to the ship's crew and pleaded with them to prevent the 2,000 passengers from disembarking. The purser's office told them it was too early to make an announcement. It came at 7:50 a.m., after most passengers had already left the ship. It simply asked, "Will Amy Bradley please come to the purser's desk?" She never did. 3 witnesses reported seeing Amy on the upper deck between 5:30 and 5:45 a.m. with Alistair Douglas. They described him handing her a drink with a dark liquid inside. They saw the two of them enter an elevator together. They saw Douglas leave the upper deck alone, shortly after 6 a.m. Douglas had said he left the party at 1 a.m. The witnesses placed him with Amy nearly 5 hours later. Brad recalled that Douglas approached him shortly after Amy's disappearance was reported and said, "Hey man, I'm sorry to hear about your sister." No announcement had been made yet. No one outside the family and immediate crew had been told. How did he know? The FBI interviewed Douglas and administered a polygraph. Royal Caribbean reported he passed. Ron Bradley watched him walk out of that interview smiling, giving his bandmates a thumbs up. Douglas was never charged. He has maintained his innocence. There was something else. The ship's professional photographer had printed photos from the cruise to sell to passengers. When Amy's family searched through them, they could not find a single photograph of Amy, despite her being on the ship for 3 days. The family believed the photos had been deliberately removed, by whom has never been established. The Dutch Caribbean Coast Guard searched for 4 days. Royal Caribbean chartered a boat to continue. The Coast Guard deployed 3 helicopters and a radar plane. Nothing. Then the sightings began. 1 month after Amy vanished, her family traveled to Curacao. A cab driver approached them and claimed he had seen Amy running through a parking lot near the dock on the morning of March 24th, searching for a phone. He said he remembered her specifically because of her green eyes, which matched the reward poster. In August 1998, a Canadian scuba diver named David Carmichael claimed to have seen a woman matching Amy's description on a beach in Curacao called Playa Porto Marie. She was with two aggressive-looking men, one of whom he said resembled Douglas. When Carmichael spoke English loudly to a nearby friend, the woman spun around and began walking toward him. The man resembling Douglas stepped into her path and motioned her away. Carmichael said she kept glancing back at him, not speaking, just looking. 2 feet away, looking, and then gone. In January 1999, a U.S. Navy petty officer reported that a woman approached him at a location in Curacao and identified herself as Amy Bradley. She told him she had left the cruise ship to find drugs and was now being held against her will. The officer did not report the encounter until 2001. In 2005, a photograph began circulating that showed a woman advertised for sexual services on a Caribbean website. The woman bore a strong resemblance to Amy and appeared to share her distinctive tattoos. The image was sent anonymously to Amy's family. Authorities investigated, but could not confirm the woman's identity. Each sighting was investigated. None were conclusively confirmed. None were conclusively ruled out. There are 3 serious theories investigators have considered. Each has supporting evidence. Each has evidence that works against it. Theory 1. She fell or jumped overboard. This was the cruise line's initial position. The cruise director maintained in interviews that Amy fell or jumped, but investigators stated there was no evidence that Amy, a trained lifeguard, fell overboard, was pushed, or took her own life. Her family points to the fact that she had just graduated college, had a new job lined up, a new apartment waiting, and nothing in her behavior that night indicated distress. Theory 2. She left the ship voluntarily. Some investigators have considered the possibility that Amy chose to disappear, that she walked off the ship in Curacao with no intention of returning. Her family categorically rejects this. Her brother Brad has spoken publicly and repeatedly about how inconsistent that would have been with everything he knew about his sister. Theory 3. She was trafficked. This is the theory that has gained the most traction. The FBI has interviewed 2 people with trafficking ties in connection with the case. Investigators may have identified a trafficking network operating in the Caribbean that could be responsible. A separate source has claimed that Amy gave birth after vanishing, a detail that, if confirmed, would mean she survived her disappearance by at least several months. The Navy officer's account, the beach sighting, the photograph, the woman in Curacao who said her name was Amy Bradley and that she needed help. None of it was enough to find her. On March 24th, 2010, 12 years to the day after she disappeared, Amy Lynn Bradley was legally declared dead. No physical remains have ever been recovered. The man last seen with her, Alistair Douglas, now serves as a reverend for a small church in the remote mountains of Grenada. He performs exorcisms. He has maintained his innocence through every investigation, every interview, and every polygraph. The FBI still lists Amy Bradley as a missing person and offers a reward of up to $25,000 for information leading to a resolution of the case. In July 2025, a public reward of $1 million was announced for any information leading to Amy being safely returned home. She would be 51 years old today. Her shoes are still on that balcony in every version of this story that gets told. She took her cigarettes. She left her shoes. She walked out into the Caribbean morning, and the world never saw her again. What happened to Amy Bradley remains one of the most enduring unsolved disappearances in American history, not because the evidence is thin, but because every piece of it points somewhere. And none of it has ever been enough to get there.